All right, let's kick off this AI news deep dive. We're taking a look at all the latest happenings from January 30th, 2025.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. A lot of new models, debates, and even some security scares. You ready to unpack it all?
You bet. Where should we start? I feel like DeepSeek R1 is the elephant in the room. This open source model with its massive 671 billion parameters is making some serious waves.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's causing a bit of a stir, too.
Oh, yeah. I've seen the discussions online. Some are calling it revolutionary. Others are, well, less enthusiastic.
To say the least. Some even compare it to the COVID vaccine debates. Just a lot of fear-mongering, you know?
It's interesting how new tech can evoke such strong reactions.
Totally. But let's focus on the facts. DeepSeek R1 is available on Azure and GitHub. That's huge for enterprise AI. I mean, it's making these tools way more accessible.
Definitely. But I got to ask, what's with all these different versions of DeepSeek I keep seeing? 7 billion parameters, 14 billion, and so on. What's the deal with that?
Right, that's been causing a lot of confusion. Those smaller versions aren't actually the full R1 model. They're more like fine-tuned versions of other models, like Qwen 2.5 and Llama 3.3. So they're powerful in their own right, but not the complete DeepSeek experience.
Ah, okay. So it's like a chef creating a gourmet dish, and then others adapt the recipe for home cooks. Different results, but all inspired by the original.
Perfect analogy. And even with the full 671 billion parameter model, Unsloth AI did something incredible. They managed to shrink it down from 720 gigabytes to just 131 gigabytes.
Whoa, hold on. They compressed a massive AI model without sacrificing performance. How'd they pull that off?
It's all about selective layer quantization. Basically, they found a way to represent the data more efficiently. Think of it like compressing a video file without losing quality. Same experience, less storage space.
That's impressive. So this opens the door for more people to actually run these powerful models, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone has a supercomputer in their basement.
Absolutely. Researchers, developers, hobbyists, this accessibility is a game changer for the AI community.
Speaking of big players, Alibaba's just launched their Q 2.5 Max model. Some are saying it's even more powerful than DeepSeek, but
Yeah, there's a catch, the price tag. It's 3 to 4 times more expensive than GPT-4o.
wow, that's a serious investment. I guess you get what you pay for, though, right?
Well, that's what everyone's trying to figure out. Some are blown away by its image and video generation, but others say its reasoning abilities aren't all that impressive.
So mixed reviews so far. It'll be interesting to see how it stacks up against DeepSeek in the long run, especially with that price difference.
Definitely. And then you've got Google. They're not sitting on their hands either. Their Gemini 2 model is turning heads with something they call flash thinking.
Okay, flash thinking. Gotta admit, I'm intrigued. What's that all about?
It's about making the experts within the model, the MoE setup, communicate much faster. Imagine a team working on a complex problem. If they can instantly share their insights, they'll reach the solution quicker, right?
So it's like supercharging the model's thought process. But does it actually make a noticeable difference?
The early results are pretty promising, significant improvements in machine translation and question answering from what I've seen.
So DeepSeek is shaking things up with its open source approach. Alibaba's aiming for the top with a high-performance, high-cost model, and Google's pushing the boundaries of speed and efficiency.
And that's not even mentioning all the smaller players making their mark. The AI world is a busy place these days.
It sure is. But let's zoom in on one of those smaller players for a sec. Perplexity AI, they've just integrated the full DeepSeek R1, all 671 billion parameters, into their search engine.
Yeah, they're known for their AI-powered search engine, providing super detailed answers, going beyond the typical 10 blue links.
So they're taking DeepSeek's power and making it accessible to anyone with an internet connection. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. And to make things even cooler, they've introduced a new feature called Sonar Reasoning.
Sonar Reasoning. Sounds impressive. What's the gist?
So it's basically a fine-tuned version of DeepSeek, optimized for search and reasoning tasks. And get this, it provides real-time citations for its answers.
Wow, so you're telling me I can get AI-powered answers with footnotes? Talk about a research dream come true.
It's a game changer, no doubt. I mean, for students, journalists, anyone doing research, the speed, accuracy, and the citations are all a big win.
So DeepSeek is making waves not just as a standalone model, but also as the engine behind some pretty innovative platforms. Pretty impressive for an open source project.
Absolutely. And this is just the beginning. There's a lot more happening in the world of AI, like this whole thing with text generation. There are some really interesting developments happening.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like what's caught your eye?
Well, there's this new method called min-tep sampling. It's making AI-generated text sound way less robotic, more human.
Min-tip sampling, huh? Haven't heard of that one. How's it work?
So traditional methods often result in text that sounds, well, a bit repetitive and predictable, but min-pec sampling, it allows for more creativity and nuance.
So it's like giving the AI a bit of creative license, helping it break free from the formulaic stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It basically adjusts the sampling threshold during text generation, so instead of always picking the most likely next word, the model can choose less probable words, which makes things more interesting.
That's like adding a bit of controlled randomness to the mix. Pretty clever.
It is. And the results are pretty amazing. The text is more fluent, engaging, and it can express more complex ideas.
I can see how that would be a big deal for all sorts of applications.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And speaking of expressing complex ideas, have you heard about sparse autoencoders? SAEs, they're called?
SAEs. Vaguely, but I'd love a refresher. What's the buzz about them?
Okay, so SAEs are a type of neural network. They're really good at learning efficient representations of data,
Yeah.
meaning they can identify the most essential information and discard the rest, like decluttering, but for data.
Ah, finding the signal in the noise. Gotcha.
Exactly. And this sparsity, it makes them really efficient. They use less power, less memory, which is a big deal when you're dealing with huge data sets.
Yeah, that makes sense. But is it just about being efficient, or is there more to it?
There's more. By being selective about which neurons they activate, SAEs can actually learn more effectively.
So it's like by focusing on the key information, they become better learners overall.
Yeah, kind of counterintuitive, but it works. And because of that, they can be used for a whole bunch of stuff. Image recognition, natural language processing, even drug discovery.
Wow, so they're like the Swiss Army knife of neural networks.
Pretty much. Versatile and powerful. And that brings us back to something we talked about earlier, mixture of experts, or MOE models.
Yeah, the ones with all the specialized experts working together.
Yeah.
You mentioned something called autonomy of experts, or AOE.
Right. But I don't think we really dug into how it works.
Yeah, I'm still a bit fuzzy on that. Could you break it down for me?
Sure. Imagine an orchestra, right? With
Hmm.
all these skilled musicians. But instead of having a conductor telling everyone when to play, each musician listens to the music and decides when their instrument is needed.
So it's like each expert has the freedom to decide when their skills are most valuable.
That's the idea. It gets rid of the need for a central conductor, which can slow things down in traditional MOE models.
That's really interesting. Does this actually lead to better performance, though?
Early research suggests it does. AOE seems to boost both efficiency and accuracy in MOE models. It's still a fairly new area of research, but very promising.
So AOE is all about empowering those experts within the model, letting them collaborate more effectively. It's like a more natural, organic way of problem solving.
Exactly. And it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for MOE models. Now, on a totally different note, remember how we discussed the different sizes of DeepSeek R1?
Yeah, the 7 billion, 14 billion parameter versions and all that.
Right. Well, there's been a lot of talk about Llama 4 maybe following a similar approach.
Wait, Llama 4? Is that even a thing yet?
It's still early days, so it's mostly speculation, but the rumors are out there. Apparently, Llama 4 might also release a bunch of different model sizes, to fit different needs and resources.
That would be pretty cool. Like, if it's anything like DeepSeek's approach,
Yeah.
it would make Llama 4 way more accessible.
Exactly. It would lower the barrier to entry for a lot of people. More innovation, more experimentation. It's a good thing.
It's definitely a trend I'm noticing, this move towards making these powerful AI tools more inclusive.
Yeah, and that's important, right? Because it's not about having just one best model.
Right, it's about having the right tool for the job.
Exactly. DeepSeek might be perfect for researchers pushing the boundaries, while Qwen 2.5 Max, with its hefty price tag, might be better for specific business applications. It all depends on what you're trying to do.
It's like having a whole toolbox instead of just one hammer.
Perfect analogy. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the wild world of AI news, what's the main takeaway for our listeners?
I think it's clear that the AI landscape is evolving at warp speed. New models, new techniques, new applications. It's hard to keep up. But what stands out to me is this push towards making AI more accessible.
Yeah, I agree. It's not just about the big tech companies anymore. Individuals and smaller organizations are getting in on the action too.
And that's really exciting. To all our listeners out there, don't be intimidated by AI. Stay curious, explore, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one developing the next big AI breakthrough.
Absolutely, because ultimately the future of AI is the future of humanity. It's a future we're building together, one algorithm at a time.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been a fascinating journey through the latest in AI news. To our listeners, stay informed, stay engaged, and until next time, keep exploring.